Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us as we kind of dive deeper into local history. Share my screen. And this is a great way for you at home to make local history fun. So, kind of jumping into what we have around town. And a lot of people do not realize how much local history that we have located here in Jacksonville. So, these are kind of some of the fun places to take your students or your children out to visit. So one of the big things we like to say is just that engaging children in the history of their city will give them an appreciation of the city that they live in. So making sure that they take that understanding and then they want to be part of the community. So one of the first places that we'll talk about is the Mosh Museum. And the Mosh Museum does have a little small part of history, and it's called the Currents of Time. And actually, one of the very interesting things about this exhibit that is there is it was funded through a grant that was given to our social studies department in Duval County, and it helped create that currents of time that is there. And now that the mosh is beginning to move over towards the stadium, myself and some other local historians have been working with the organization that is putting together the new Mosh Museum to create a bigger and better exhibit on local history. So you're going to really be able to dive deep into that Jacksonville experience from the Timucuas all the way up to present today. So you'll be able to really see that national or that local history that we have. So one of our favorite places to visit is the Kingsley Plantation. We actually take our teachers there during the summer. That's one of our trainings that we do, I want to say, with teachers. We call them our field trips. And because a lot of times we get teachers that are coming in from other areas, they might be not be local to Jacksonville. And this is something that's easily missed. Plus, the National Park Service really partners with our department, and they even provide free transportation for our schools and allowing students to go there. So, the history of the Kingsley Plantation on Fort George Island shows that enslaved African Americans often experienced slavery in different ways. Zechariah Kingsley was a Quaker merchant, plantation owner, and enslaver who lived in Kingsley Plantation from 1814 to 1837. Kingsley was not like most Quakers who opposed slavery. Kingsley actually traded and owned enslaved people. Now, his first wife was a 13-year-old Senegalese girl named Anna, who he purchased in Cuba. He later made three other enslaved women his common law wives. However, King Zachariah Kingsley, Anna was the one that he left her the plantation upon his death. So she became an African American woman who actually owned a whole plantation. And there's a lot of great information, and we actually share this information with our teachers, and we have a book that creates this. We also have lesson plans that were created by students that is able to share and teach other students about Kingsley Plantation. Fort Caroline. So Fort Caroline is another hidden treasure here in Jacksonville. And Fort Caroline actually memorializes the French presence that was located here in the 16th century in Florida. Now, the French Huguenots settled in this area. And it's kind of between Arlington and the beaches. So as you're heading out to Naval Station Mayport and you're leaving the Arlington area, it's kind of off hidden in a secluded area. And this is where the French Huguenots settled. They built a fort, and then the Spanish ended up coming up from St. Augustine and starting a battle with them and did, kill a majority. They said all, but there are people that did escape. And that is where their fort is. Today, you can go to Fort Caroline, you can walk. They have kind of the edges set up, as you can see. Also, the nice thing is they have a lot of the Timucua areas that are still preserved. They have mounds of oyster shells that are available for students to look at. This is just a wonderful area. It's right there on the marsh, and you see a lot of the river. Sometimes even being out there, you see manatees passing by. But this is another great hidden treasury area. And also they have a nice welcome center. Uh, where you can go in and learn more. And then, of course, the national park rangers, they definitely help you. And sometimes they have guided tours, they have people out there speaking. Every once in a while, they do shoot cannons from this area as well. And again, this is one of my favorite, like, kind of hidden treasures to go. I used to take my children when they were younger to run around the fort and to explore. They have docks. Also, right near there is the Teddy Roosevelt Preserve, and you're able to walk through the nature and see things. So just another great little hidden area for you to check out. And also, though, make sure that you check on their website, National Park Service, the times, because I know they do have some funky times. I believe they're closed on Mondays. So make sure you check out the times of when to head out there, and you don't head out there when they're closed. But it is free. So this is something that's free to the public, and you're able to walk out and picnic lunches, everything. So the Ritz Theater and Museum is another wonderful hidden treasures here in Jacksonville. So the Ritz Theater and Museum was constructed on the site of the 1929 Ritz Theater Movie House in Jacksonville's historic African American community of La Villa. Now, this area definitely was known as the Harlem of the South. And in there, as you walk through there, they have wonderful presentation on James Weldon Johnson and about Lift Every Voice and Sing. They also have other significant historical dates and information on African American history here in Jacksonville. So they have the information on a local dentist, on A.L. Lewis. They have information on schools, Bob Hayes. They even have the counter from Axe Handle Saturday. They have a lot of great information if you're really into African American history, and it's one place that we encourage all of our students to go to check out. We do have trainings at the Ritz as well, where we bring teachers in to learn more about our local African American history. They also have tours that you can go on their website to check it out. They have a new museum curator that is taking reservations. So there is a price affiliated with this one, but this is a great, great museum to check out. So St. Joseph's Mission Schoolhouse for the African American students is one that not a lot of people know about. So this is another hidden one. So I was trying to find some things that maybe a lot of people didn't know where to go. This is actually located in Mandarin, and it's located in the Walter Jones Historical Park. And the schoolhouse was actually moved around quite a bit in that area. So following the Civil War, um, new opportunities were available for African Americans, and the Sisters of St. Joseph decided that they would like to start a school to teach African American children how to read, to write, and to be members of the community. So they started receiving more of that formal education that wasn't allowed before. And so therefore they built this wonderful schoolhouse. Now the original position is not quite known because again, this schoolhouse has been moved several times, and then it was recently reconstructed in the area. So if you head up to Walter Jones Historical Park, you can take a tour of this cute little schoolhouse, and it's great to see how these Sisters of St. Joseph really wanted to make sure African American children had a chance to move forward during the Reconstruction after the Civil War. Not Can't remember if there's a price associated with this one, but it's definitely one to check out, and it is kind of another one of those little hidden treasures that we have. So JP Smalls Baseball Park. This one is a great one. We actually took a bunch of students there last year or the year before, or last summer and this past summer. And then also most recently, because we had some students, we have a summer writing institute where we bring in students and they research local African American history and they write lesson plans for our teachers. And we had a student group that did a lesson on JP Smalls and information on it. And then recently, when the Cleveland Browns came to play the Jaguars, they wanted to go out and learn more about the JP Small Baseball Park. So our students that did the research on it were able to actually go out there and talk with the Cleveland Browns team, coaching staff, everybody to learn more about the significance of this area. It used to be known as Turkey Field. This was the home of the Negro League and the minor league baseball teams. So Henry Aaron, James Cool Papa Bell, William Judy Johnson. They were some big names to really pass through this field. And in this area, in the baseball park, they also have a little museum which you can walk through. It's not very big. I would say maybe 20 or 30 people can fit in there. But it is something that great to see. And again, a big historical part of our area that not many people know about. There is a number that you do have to call, but the information is online with the city. And you can call that number and somebody can meet you there and they will open it up and it is free as well. Another great hidden treasure is the Eartha M. White Museum. We all know of the Clara White Mission and of that area downtown on your Ashley Street. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know is in the building next to it and upstairs, there's a whole museum that is dedicated to both Clara White and her daughter Eartha White, and their lives and their desire, they're just their mission of philanthropy and helping people. So you can walk through the area where they live. I've added some pictures. Again, we have taken our Summer Writing Institute students there to learn more information. They've done lessons on them. And it just kind of gives you a background of these just amazing women who were out there to help support people in our community. I believe they do charge a small fee now. I want to say it's maybe $5 to $10 a person to go in and look. And it's not something that will take you all day to go through, but it is definitely something that is worth checking out. So just some other areas of interest, and I know there's probably many more that I could talk about, like we have Fort Milton, places like that. But some other areas that are close by, if you decide to head down to St. Augustine, Fort Mose is wonderful. And pretty soon coming up, they will have the Freedom Trail, and usually I want to say it's in May. Maybe earlier. Sometime I know it used to be in May, and I think they've moved the dates up sooner. But during that time, they have reenactors, and as you walk through Fort Mose, the reenactors will they're in one spot, and you'll be able to hear like different stories. They will have Native Americans, they will have escaped slaves, they will have citizens of Fort Mose, soldiers, they will have the people that are out hunting for slaves. They have all kinds of different reenactors, and they're absolutely wonderful to listen to. And it's worth your time when they have that during the week. It's usually a weekend. Check it out. Check out the website. A lot of people don't really head out to Fort Mose a lot, and it's a great thing. Castillo de San Marco, we all know that wonderful fort in St. Augustine. One of the other great things too is that tree in front of the fort was actually a spot where there was a large civil rights protest there. And they do the national park. They will talk about that as well. So you just have to ask them for it. That one is free. And so usually they ask for a donation to go in. The Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center. This is another kind of hidden gem in St. Augustine. There's also a lot of African American history associated with Lincolnville. Martin Luther King was there, and you'll hear a lot of local African American history. There is a small fee associated with the Lincolnville Museum, and they also provided a guide tour as well. The Jimenez Facio House Museum, again, another great thing. And it's a house of a family from St. Augustine. They have reenactors as well, and they just started this new one, which is great. His name's James Bullock. And if you've ever had a chance to see him or meet him, it's a must. So at the Jimenez Facio House, they have a new program, and it's called We Live Here Too. And it talks about the enslaved people that were in that house and wait, pretty much waiting on the family and James Bullock is one of the men that's there, and he's an amazing reenactor, and he really tells that story. Again, we bring teachers here every summer. And thanks to donations by various groups, they're able to pay the fee, and the colonial dames kind of manage that house. And it's again, if you're in St. Augustine, I definitely would check out Lincolnville and the Menesfatio House. Most people head to Castillo. We know that they head to, the Pirate Museum, all those little places. But that's something that's there. The other great one is the St. Augustine Lighthouse. That really gives you a great representation of what was taking place in the Northeast Florida area. So even though it is in St. Augustine, but it does give you a great history of all of Northeast Florida as people begin to see this area as kind of, especially the rich and the wealthy, and they wanted it to be like this stopping point. And the St. Augustine Lighthouse really highlights that information. Well, as I said, I know there's probably many places, but I really wanted to focus on some of the places that would be really great for you to take your children to and really dive into some of that history that might not be known. There are several walking tours that are um, handled. The Jackson magazine, they have a walking tour that goes through downtown, also through Springfield, and they have a mural tour. But those are done separately and usually have a cost affiliated with them. And sometimes you have to figure out when they are and where they are. So I wanted to focus a lot on the stuff that you could easily access and get to. So that is all I had. I can take some questions. And if you don't have any questions now, but you think of something later, you can always find me. I'm on our website and I'm happy to help out if you're looking for a place to go with your family or you're bringing family in town, happy to help out in guiding you into some places locally, even up to Amelia Island, because we could always talk about American Beach as well as a great another one. And just, feel free to reach out. My information is on our district website under social studies, and I'm happy to share with you different things.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and thank you, Ms. Conklin, for this wonderful presentation. I hope to see everyone at another Parent Academy course again soon. Have a great night, everybody.